Green, the weirdo who thinks that Jewish lasers started the fires. This tells you how sick this woman is. And she's a congresswoman. She's a congressman, a congressperson, or however you say it. When, that person is not a man. But Marjorie Taylor Greene thinks that Jewish lasers started a fire. I'd be embarrassed to say that. But if you're a conspiracy theorist, you're not embarrassed. You think that, hey, all I'm saying is something that's true. Just that no one else knows about it. Because they're not as smart or as educated as conspiracy theorists. That's what I've been told by conspiracy theorists. You're just not, you're just clueless. No, you're just not 100% sane. Marjorie Taylor Greene is not 100% sane, and neither are any of the rest of you who believe in nonsense that's just not true. So Matt Gaetz has been mentioning Britney Spears, who is trying to regain control of her finances and her life and be able to have a baby. She's 39 years old, still a young person. In the scheme of things, wouldn't exactly say you're old when you're 40. You're still a young person. So, Brittany, I don't know if she has a boyfriend or is married anymore, or what the situation or her status is there, but she's trying to legally regain control of her life, which they should give it to her. I think it's shameful that they're gotten their claws into her fortune. They act like she can't do anything except perform, because performing is what makes the money. So they're totally okay with her performing, but everything else, no, she's mentally not stable enough to do that, which is nonsense. Brittany's okay. She was a lot younger when she threw a fit. And, the pressures of this business that she's in, the entertainment business, got to her. But that doesn't mean, that's going to be a problem for the rest of her life. I think that they should, give her control of her money and her own body. Allow the woman to get pregnant if she wants to. I mean, she can raise a kid, or she can afford to raise a kid. She can afford a nanny. So, strangely enough, though, for whatever reasons, Matt Gaetz, I'd be concerned if I was Brittany. Like when Matt Gaetz, the guy who's accused of molesting a child, although it's a 17-year-old girl that he had sex with, that is that's not a good endorsement to have, Matt Gaetz. So we'll see what happens with Brittany. We're going to go to break. Last one. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
And now, without further ado, the man we've all been waiting for, T-Jam D. Welcome back to the show.
Welcome back to the show. We're back. We are so back. I want to go back to sports because I forgot to mention something in sports, and that is the NFL training camps have opened up. It's reported that Deshaun Watson, the quarterback for the Texans, has allegedly, he's been accused of rape. Now, this was months ago when he was accused of rape by massage therapists. Many massage therapists said that Deshaun Watson raped them. And it's been speculated by analysts. Some analysts have said this could be a smear campaign, meaning the theory is some the body in Texas is trying to smear this guy's name to keep him in town because he's a pretty good player, pretty good quarterback. Even though the Texans weren't very good, even though he was great, which is hard to be. It's hard for the team to suck even though the quarterback is great. Usually when the quarterback is great, the team is at least mediocre, even if the defense or the special teams and the coaches are not very good. If your quarterback's good, usually you're good. The team is good, or at least the team is mediocre, meaning they'll win 8 or 9 games just because the quarterback is fantastic. But not the case with the Texans, Houston Texans. But Deshaun Watson did report for camp, and so he's still wanting a trade. He's still asking to be traded, even though he's cooperating with playing. He's not holding out like Aaron Rodgers is still holding out. He has not reported to camp. The Texans camp just opened up, and Deshaun Watson did report for camp, reportedly. It's been reported. Reportedly. That don't even make sense. So there's that. But that's not the main story in the NFL. The main story is the NFL has decided that if a game needs to be postponed because of COVID, meaning some of the players on one team or the other have contracted COVID, and there's so many players that they can't really play the game, then that team will forfeit the game. Now, I don't know what they would do, say, for instance, which is unlikely. What if both teams have a number of players with COVID, the same number, like they got like 9 players with COVID on both teams? I guess in that case, they'll just reschedule the game. But if one team causes a game to be postponed because they had an outbreak of COVID, then that team, and I don't want to leave this out. If one team has an outbreak of COVID because of unvaccinated players, that was part of the language. I almost forgot that, and I don't want to leave that out. If one team has an outbreak of players because of an outbreak of COVID because of unvaccinated players, then they will forfeit the game. That is a new rule that they're adopting in the NFL, that if you have an outbreak of COVID on your team because of unvaccinated players, you're forfeiting the game. Now, we'll see what happens with this, but I got a feeling that this is going to happen because there's a number of players who are refusing to be vaccinated, like a number of people. I myself have not been vaccinated. I'm not refusing to be vaccinated, though. But I'm not an elderly person, or my immune system is not compromised by anything. So I genuinely don't feel that I need the vaccine. If I did, I'd get it. Although I don't know. I don't know a hell of a lot about the vaccine, but who does? Hell, I don't even know what the ingredients of my cereal is, even though I can read the box. I don't know what all that stuff is in the cereal. So a lot of us say, I don't know what's in it, I ain't taking it. Yeah, but there's a lot of food you eat you don't know what's in it, and you know it. You're just not thinking about it when you say the dumb shit that flies out of your mouth. But there's a lot of stuff that you take or eat, medicines that you take, that you don't know exactly what's in it. You know it's just a medicine that's supposed to help you. you bought it from the the drugstore, or from the drugstore section of your Walmart or Kroger's. They got a section with all the medicine and vitamins and stuff. Yeah, it's about 3 or 4 aisles, little aisles, not big ones. But the NFL has decided that if they have to postpone a game because of unvaccinated players, then that game is going to be forfeited. We'll see how this affects the players, if that motivates the players to be vaccinated, because most of the teams, all the people who work in the office and in the NFL office have all been vaccinated. So they want the players to get vaccinated too, but the players are skeptic. I totally understand, but the NFL doesn't understand. So the NFL is not demanding; they're just telling teams, you're going to forfeit the game if you have games that can't be played because of unvaccinated players catching COVID. Even though vaccinated players can catch COVID too, it's just not supposed to affect you if you're vaccinated. So don't be surprised when you see people who are vaccinated catching COVID. That's supposed to happen, or it can happen, but it's not supposed to affect you. So we'll see how that goes. We will see. This world is running rampant, really, with conspiracy theories. So for me on this podcast, conspiracy theories have taken over. A lot of stuff that I talk about has to do with people believing in things that are not true. Moving on. I don't know if I mentioned this in an earlier episode, but Dr. Dre, one of the richest hip-hop artists, is getting a divorce. Now, his divorce is not settled. They're in the middle of it. It looks like Dr. Dre is going to end up getting ran over the coals because he didn't have a prenup. He did have a prenup, but he tore it up, after being in the marriage, which is the dumb thing to do. I don't care how much you love your wife, how much you respect her, and all that. If you get a lot of money, you should have a prenup. If you are a successful entertainer, you should have a prenup. Okay? And you should probably move out of California, where they just seem to give women half of your assets in California. Every state is not like that. But Dr. Dre's divorce is not final. But they have ordered until the divorce is ruled on, until the divorce is final, and the judge has a chance to rule on whatever is how the assets are going to be split up. It's reported that Dr. Dre is worth $800 million. He is called himself a billionaire, but technically he's not a billionaire. He doesn't have $1 billion.